Examine the social and economic life of the early Vedic period. Answer: social life. Family. The family was regarded as the social and political unit. It was the nucleus of the social life of the early Aryans. The father was the head of the family and he was known as Grihapati. The Aryans had joint families. The father had great authority over the children. Though the father was kind and affectionate, yet at times he became cruel towards his children. From Rigveda we come to know about a father who blinded his son for his extravagance. Position of women. In the early Vedic age, women enjoyed an honored place in the society. The wife was the mistress of the household and authority over the slaves. In all religious ceremonies she participated with her husband. Prada system was not prevalent in the society. Sati system was also not prevalent in the Vedic society. The education of girls was not neglected. The Rigveda mentions the names of some learned ladies like Vishwavara, Apala and Ghosha who composed mantras and attained the rank of rishis. The girls were married after attaining puberty. The practice of Swayamvar was also prevalent in the society. Monogamy was the general practice. Polygamy was, of course, practiced and it was confined only to rings and chiefs. Remarriage of widows was permitted. The women were not independent persons in the eye of the law. They had to remain under the protecting care of their male relations. Dress and ornaments. The Aryans wore dresses made from cotton, wool and deerskin. The garments consisted of three parts: an undergarment called Nivi, a garment called Vesa or Paridan and a mantle known as Adivasa, Atka Dropi. The garments were also embroidered with gold. Both men and women wore gold ornaments. The women used earrings, necklace, bangles, anklets. These ornaments were sometimes studded with precious stones. Both men and women oiled and combed their hair, which were plaited or braided. The men kept beard and moustache but sometimes also shaved them. Food and drink. The Aryans ate both vegetable and animal foods. Rice, barley, bean and sesamum formed the staple food. They also ate bread, cake, milk, ghee, butter, and curd together with fruits. Fish, birds, goats, rams, bulls and horses were slaughtered for their food. Slaughter of cow was prohibited. They also drank intoxicating liquor, known as sura, a brandy made from corn and barley and the juice of soma plant. Amusements. Rigvedic people spent their leisure time in various amusements like gambling, war, dancing, chariot racing, hunting, boxing, dancing and music. Women displayed their skill in dancing and music. Three types of musical instruments like percussion, string and wind were used by the singers. Morality. The morals of women were of high standard, but the standard of morality of men was not very praiseworthy. Polygamy was practiced by men. Great respect and affection was shown to guests. The people hated seduction and adultery. There was a class of women known as Hetairai and dancing girls whose morality was probably not above reproach. Education. In the Rigvedic age, great importance was given to education. There were gurukulas which imparted education to the disciples after their sacred thread ceremony. Entire instruction was given orally. The Vedic education aimed at proper development of mind and body. The disciples were taught about ethics, art of warfare, art of metal and concept of Brahma and philosophy, and basic sciences like agriculture, animal husbandry, and handicrafts. Caste system. In the early Vedic age there was no caste system. Members of same family took to different arts, crafts and trades. People could change their occupation according to their needs or talents. There was hardly any restriction in intermarriage, change of occupation. There was no restriction on taking of food cooked by the Sudras. A late hymn of the Rigveda known as Purusha Sukta refers to 4 castes. But many scholars reject the theory that caste system existed in Rigvedic age. According to them, Purusha Sukta is a late hymn and caste system was never rigid and hereditary. Economic life. The village. In the Rigvedic age people lived in villages. The houses were made of wood and bamboo. They had thatched roof and clay floors. The hymns of Rigveda refer to Pura. It seems that Puras were fortified places and served as places of refuge during danger of invasion. There was absence of word Nagara, city, in the hymns of Rigveda. Gramani was the chief of the village. He looked after the affairs of the village, both civil and military. There was another officer known as Vrajapati who led Kulapas or heads of families to battle. Agriculture. Reference in Rigveda shows that agriculture was the principal occupation of the people. They plowed the field by means of a pair of oxen. Rigveda even mentions that 24 oxen were attached to a plowshare at the same time to plow the land. The plowed land was known as Urvara or Kshetra. Water was supplied into the fields by means of irrigation canal. Use of manure was known to them. Barley and wheat were mainly cultivated. Cotton and oil seeds were also grown. Rice was perhaps not extensively cultivated. Agriculture. Domestication of animals. Besides agriculture, cattle breeding were another means of living. There are prayers in the Vedas for Gosu, cattle. Cows were held in great respect. Cows were symbols of wealth and prosperity of the Aryans. Sometimes cow was the medium of exchange. The Aryans had also domesticated animals like horse, draft ox, dog, goat, sheep, buffalo and donkey. Occupation. Apart from agriculture and animal husbandry, Aryans had also other occupation. Weaving was the most important occupation. We learnt about weavers of wool and cotton together with the workers in the subsidiary industries of dyeing and embroidery. The carpenters built houses, chariots, wagons and supplied household utensils and furniture. Then there were blacksmiths who supplied various necessaries of life, from fine needles and razors to the sickles, plowshares, spears and swords. The goldsmiths made ornaments like earrings, bangles, necklaces, bands etc. The leather workers made bowstrings and casks for holding liquor. The physicians cured diseases. The priests performed sacrifices and composed hymns and taught them to the disciples. Trade and commerce. There were trade and maritime activity. Sometimes traders made journey to distant lands for larger profits in trade. There was probably commercial intercourse with Babylon and other countries in Western Asia. The principal media of trade was barter. Cow was used as unit of value. Gradually pieces of gold called mishka were used as means of exchange. Trade and commerce was regulated and managed by a group of people called pani.